Loyalty voucher today.
It's now 8:44 in Antigua and Barbuda. This is your wake-up call, presented by Twin Island Media on 94.1 FM. We're also streaming on Facebook Live and on the TuneIn and Simple Radio apps available on Android and iOS-powered smart devices. The following statements made by the Prime Minister of Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Mottley, at the closing of the recent CARICOM Heads of Government meeting. Many regional news portals reported that free movement was on track to be a reality by the end of the month. But this week, it was reported that Antigua and Barbuda had expressed its objections to this move, that it would hold back on the full implementation of free movement regime to keep the current status quo. Joining us now in the virtual space is Ambassador of Antigua and Barbuda to CARICOM, Dr. Clarence Henry. I want to say, Mr. Ambassador, good morning. Welcome to Wake Up Call.
Good morning, Darren. It is a pleasure to join you and the audience.
Thank you so much. Could you state for the record and, of course, for the purposes of our discussion this morning, what is the position of Antigua and Barbuda on the matter of free movement at this time?
Well, let me say, especially for the records, that Prime Minister Mia Mottley, the lead spokesman on the CSME, did in fact, during the press conference at the end of the 46th Heads of Government meeting in Guyana, did put on the table the conclusions. And as you know, she did inform that the discussion, negotiations at the level of the Intergovernmental Task Force that is charged with the negotiations of the free movement decision that was given at the previous Heads of Government meeting in Port of Spain. Their heads set a decision time frame of the end of March this year. But during that process, Antigua and Barbuda, as well as the other member states of CARICOM, have been engaged in meetings to work out the fine print as it relates to how this free movement will take place. It must be stated that from the very first meeting, Antigua and Barbuda expressed its views. That is, it does not desire to implement a decision of full free movement. We penned several letters to that effect, and we have expressed it, as I said, at all meetings of the IGTF, which was followed by a meeting of the Community Council of Ministers, the second highest body in CARICOM. And there was also a meeting prior to the 46th meeting of the conference. That is the subcommittee on the CSME, a prime ministerial subcommittee meeting chaired by Prime Minister Mia Mottley. And we attended, the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda also attended, and we reiterated our position that at this time, Antigua and Barbuda is unable to join that free movement, total free movement. We prefer to adopt, as we have been adopting for the past many years, a skills regime. That skills regime for us is a form of free movement. And we certainly cannot implement that carte blanche, open door policy. We indicated in writing and verbally at the said meetings that our policy position is that once we are able to implement such a liberal policy, that we would signal to the Secretariat and to the community that we are ready. That signal would certainly have to come from the Cabinet and Parliament of Antigua and Barbuda. Now, our position is predicated on the fact that for a number of years, even when I was at secondary school, into university, etc., we, Antigua and Barbuda, adopted a policy where persons from across the region could enter, and successive Labour Party administrations allowed this movement in and out of the country. But as you know, circumstances change. The economy has gone through a number of fiscal challenges. And so, as I told another media house, we are practical and pragmatic individuals. The administration, while being part of the integration movement and is still wedded to it, we certainly will not take an action that will exacerbate the current fiscal or economic challenges that we are currently experiencing in the country. So we have been extremely vocal, and we have made it clear at all these engagements that we cannot at the present time. And when we are able and ready, we, Antigua and Barbuda, will signal to the rest of the community that we can adopt such a liberal policy. Now, this is nothing that is unfamiliar. We have obtained derogations. We have opted out of certain obligations in the past, and we have not experienced any pushback from any member state of the community to our requests.
Right.
But as we all know from the Shanique Myrie case, when it went to the CCJ informed that, look, as part of the fraternity of countries in CARICOM, we have to be vocal, express our views, opinions, and ensure that the records are clear with respect to the records of those engagements. So we have maintained that position.
Okay.
Darren.
Yes, let me ask real quick. Are there any other CARICOM members who are not going to be participating, to the best of your knowledge?
Well, let me answer it this way. Our decision is our decision. All member states of the community enter the revised treaty as sovereign states. And as I mentioned, there has to be straightforward advocacy at the table. You cannot close your mind, your mouth. You must advocate, and advocate strongly, your country's interests and opinions.
Let me ask you then as a follow-up.
Directed at your question,
Right.
I would say that in conformity with that policy position, Bahamas, as you know, is not a part of the CSME. Bahamas has opted out of joining the CSME for a long, long time. So they will not be a part of any free movement.
Right.
Haiti is the other territory, given its current challenges, the open conflict, internal difficulties that they are experiencing, and because of the population size, they are not contemplated to be part of the full free movement mechanism that is being considered. But I will say it is not a done deal that other countries may not, in their own national interests, that there are still the possibilities that others may come forward. What we have discovered and what we have experienced over the past months since we have been on this road is that many territories, their representatives tend not to speak at meetings, and they tend to listen. They tend to report back to their various ministries and possibly to their heads. But at the table, you are faced with silence, and the Secretariat will discuss issues. And it is only a few of us, Antigua and Barbuda, Jamaica, Barbados, at times Guyana, who are strong advocates at the table
Right.
on all matters, CARICOM.
Right. Let me.
And
Ambassador
go
Henry,
ahead.
bear with me.
Go ahead.
We just, believe it or not, we have about 3 minutes to go. And I have a two-part question. I don't know if we can do this,
Yes.
but I'll try.
Yes.
Do you see a time
Yes.
in the future where Antigua and Barbuda will be open to free movement? And if so, what's the timeline you have in mind? And lastly, will our citizens benefit from free movement when traveling to other CARICOM countries if indeed they implement it?
The latter I will take first.
Okay.
That part of the policy is still to be worked out at the table of the IGTF before it goes to the LAC, that is the Legal Affairs Committee on the 8th. On the 7th, the IGTF will be meeting again to continue the work, and the heads will meet on the 15th to finalize or to agree on the way forward.
And on the first question, do you see a time in the
to respond to that?
Right.
To respond to that, it is difficult to look beyond today, given our peculiar circumstances, the small size that we have, that is 108 square miles Antigua and 62.5 square miles Barbuda, that the population is a potpourri of different country individuals or community nationals from Guyana, Jamaica, Dominica, St. Vincent. We're a potpourri of community nationals. Many are contributing successfully to our economic development,
Right.
as is currently ongoing.
Right.
But the problem is the unskilled persons
Gotcha.
who are desirous of entering, who clearly, once they come, the whole family will be entitled to move. And the immigration at our ports will not be able to prevent any type of movement. The inflows will not be manageable. So until we can overcome all these hurdles, until we're able to find the fiscal space, because it will become an economic challenge for us.
Understood.
We have to cater for our people, our young people leaving schools.
Gotcha. Ambassador, we're going to have to leave it there. We got to do this more often, though, Ambassador. But we're really thankful for your time this morning. All the very best, and we'll try to see if we can allocate some more time to flesh out these very interesting issues. Thank you so much. It's now 9 o'clock in Antigua and Barbuda. This is your wake-up call presented by Twin Island Media on 94.1 FM. Thanks so much for being a part of our discussion. I can see the comment section was on fire. Do have a wonderful day, everybody. Be safe and God bless.